Hello, listeners. This is Janine
and Kristen
from Henrico Casa. You are listening to our podcast, Vigilant Voices. Living life every day. Hello, listeners. We are so glad to have you with us on this fine September day.
A day when the children and teens in your life are hopefully back to school.
Which is why we wanted to bring a very special guest on to chat with us today about continued schooling. She is a vigilant voice in the world of higher education.
Yes, and more specifically, she's a voice making higher education more accessible, specifically for teens aging out of foster care. Mm-hmm. Because I know you've heard us talk about this, but teens in this situation may not have an adult in their life who's investing in their future that can leave them a little bit lost with this overwhelming process.
Right. And so luckily, the support and guidance they need to chase after those career dreams does actually exist.
Yes.
And so we are very excited and have invited Rachel Mays Strawn here today to tell us a little bit more. So, Rachel, welcome.
Thank you.
We are very excited to have you with us today. But before we dive into like the details of the work, we always love to hear our guest's story a little bit. So what's your story? Tell us a little bit about you and kind of what put you on this path to your career.
Okay, I would love to. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
And, well, I grew up in Gloucester, Virginia. It's a community I still live in. My dad was head librarian for the community college, Rappahannock Community College.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that connection right there. Okay.
My mom was a social worker, 40 years for mostly child protective services. So this career that I have had for the last 10 years is really the marriage of those two.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew up knowing about the problems that young folks had who were in foster care and then the good that a community college education could do for them.
Right.
Absolutely.
My father was actually orphaned when he was a kid, so he went to a home when he was a teenager, so I knew about that journey. And then when I was 18, he died, and then my mother had to help me and my sister through college with one income. So I knew what that experience was like and how difficult that was. And then to think of somebody navigating that with no one. It seems almost insurmountable. So I worked in education for a number of years in different areas. And then about 10 years ago, I got involved with this program, and it's been really a great
It sounds so perfect personally and professionally for you. It's like a combination of everything. So here you are working for Virginia's community colleges. Maybe tell us just high level about the community college system and your mission.
Okay, so our overarching mission is to give everyone the opportunity to learn and develop the right skills so lives and communities are strengthened.
I like that.
More specifically, in recent years, we have a new strategic plan. It's called Opportunity 2030, and we're focusing on trying to make sure that in the next 6 years, we have 300,000 credentials awarded to our students, and we want to have a very equity-based approach and keeping in mind that folks from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, genders, identities, making sure that they all have a path forward. And Great Expectations fits really well into that because we know our students represent all of society and come from all different kinds of backgrounds.
Perfect. Yeah. And so you mentioned Great Expectations, and you were the program director for that. Can you tell us a little bit more, what that program is and what it's about and how it helps these students?
Sure. So I'll give you a little bit of the history, not too long, but it started in 2008. What happened was our chancellor at the time, Chancellor Glenn Dubois, had a relationship with a donor named Mark Freed and also Ann Holton, who was our former First Lady.
Yes.
They were having some conversations about what could be done to help children aging out of care. Ann Holton had been a juvenile court judge, so of course she'd seen what would happen to young people. She used to say you'd put over $1 million into a young person while they were in care, and then 6 months later they'd be out on the streets. She saw it. So the donor kind of said, the community college system is supposed to be there for everyone. This is a group you're missing. And so he challenged, $1 million challenge. He gave $1 million if the foundation, the Virginia Foundation for Community College Education, could raise $4 million. And so they did. And then we started a pilot program. Started at 5 colleges. And then over the years, we expanded, and about 2 years ago, we were able to expand to our last 2 colleges. So we have a coach at all 23 community colleges and in Virginia, and they are there to provide coaching services to young people who experience foster care, and then also help them access an emergency fund and some other special stipends.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I love everything you just said, because it was clearly so needed at the time and still, right? And we talk a lot just on the show, and Janine and I, about challenges associated with children or youth or teens who may be aging out of our foster care system. And one of those challenges really is not having much guidance, right? I think about when I was that age, how could I have found possible success without guidance and advice and someone to fall back on? And so for that reason, I love this coaching model that you just mentioned. Can you tell us more about like what that looks like and what the coaches do with the students?
Absolutely. So because we are at 23 individual community colleges, it looks different.
Sure,
at every
that
college.
makes
It's not the same. So an example would be, you're a coach at the community college. You have a relationship with the different high schools in your area, and those counselors there make referrals to you of young people who are in foster care and may be interested. There's an introduction, maybe you get to know them, you get to tour, and that's one avenue where kids come to the program. Or also maybe you have a relationship with independent living providers in the area, and they say, oh, we know this great resource for you when you age out of care. Also, sometimes it's students who are already at the community college. They check that box on the FAFSA that says they were in foster care. So anyways, however they get to the coach is there to say, I'm here to help you. Let's see what resources you need. Do you have adequate housing? Do you have transportation? Do you need some advising on what path to take? So they really are a way to link them to all the area resources that are available to the student. And then they also have some funds to help them with emergencies, like the car broke down and you can't get to class.
So important.
And these are the basic things. And mainly they try to be that person that's there for them because their parents aren't the person that can help them solve those problems.
Right. Yeah. I love that. We talk multiple times now, we've talked about just how education isn't just, quote, education. It's the transportation and the funds and all the things that make it even possible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, books. I mean, all,
childcare, whatever you may possibly need.
Right. And so speaking of some of those costs, I mean, I think this is a challenge for all families, and youth is just the cost of higher education. Right? I mean, I think that's just a reality. And then it becomes a privilege for those who can afford it. So, community college in my mind has always been a fantastic option for continuing education, but maybe not with the exorbitant costs, that it sometimes comes with, or that significant amount of debt that we don't want to strap certainly our children, and youth in foster care. So is there an added, cost benefit for the foster youth within the Great Expectations program? And what does that look like, if so?
Yes. So there are a couple of different aspects to that. So we have a Virginia tuition grant for foster youth, which is a state grant that's been around for a long time. I think it goes all the way back to 2008. And many of our students qualify for that. It is last dollar. So a lot of our students also qualify for Pell, and so that doesn't come into play. And community college isn't very expensive. So tuition isn't usually the biggest burden for our students, but all those other things are. So about 2018, we started again with the foundation, our foundation, the VFCCE, with a pilot program out in Southwest Virginia, where we knew housing was one of the biggest needs for our students. So we are doing a housing pilot where we give students $400 a month towards housing as long as they're enrolled. We saw amazing gains out there.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
Yeah. So our students across the board graduated about 3 times the national average for foster youth, and these students it was even higher.
That's fantastic.
Excrementally higher. And then we have been able to expand that across the state. We have a version of that that's available to all the students. Not everybody takes advantage of it, but we have, thanks to donors, we've been able to expand that. So these stipend programs that help with housing have been huge.
Yeah, that is totally amazing. I mean, I don't even know what to say. That's really amazing.
And then
I think it reduces that barrier a little bit, you know, of just can they even go to school?
And then the stability of like knowing that's taken care of, to not have to worry about it and be able to focus on school.
I love that.
And then I do have to add to that. Last year in the General Assembly, House Bill 700 was passed, and this is basically making it so that there has to be a point of contact at all of our public colleges and universities for young people who are in foster care, and also requires that tuition and room and board be provided them. So this is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's just getting rolled out. It only went into effect July 1, but it will allow our students to continue on to those that want to.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that transfer, you know, from these great programs to that 4-year college to get that degree. I mean, that is fantastic.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is
very
exciting.
Yeah, it's very good. I know that takes some lobbying efforts, with the, you know, legislative efforts, so that's fantastic.
Very cool. Well, Rachel, I saw on the website, because we were creeping on it a little bit, the phrase was used, lifeline to adulthood, and that really resonated with us. I'm sure you've seen success stories of teens from difficult backgrounds who found the support and guidance and skill building they needed with Great Expectations, and it was their lifeline to adulthood. Do you have any great stories to share with us?
I'll share a few.
We love the wins.
Yeah.
We love wins.
Yeah, so I'll say over the since the program was created in 2008, we've had over 1,000 credentials, degrees, certificates awarded to our students, and just a few that come to mind, and these are really just folks that I know personally, and I've seen the success. Brittany down in Southwest, she aged out of foster care. She had a baby. In the 10 years that I've been here, she finished her associate degree, got her bachelor's degree, got her master's in counseling, and she works down in Southwest Virginia. She's married. Her daughter is, you know, an elementary school student. They live in a house they own. They take vacations. Just what you would want for a young person to have that kind of opportunity. There were a couple of local students that I know well. Sylvia, who went to Bright Point, she transferred from there to U of R, and then went to Shenandoah, got her physician's assistant degree, master's, is working as a physician's assistant, again, married with a baby and is happy. Anatello, she got her master's in social work eventually after finishing. Thomas, who is a regional manager for a seed company. It's the privilege of having done this for 10 years is I've actually gotten to see
the
those kinds of success, you know, folks who are having welding careers and all of that. So I feel really fortunate to have gotten to see that.
Yeah, and they're truly able to pursue their dreams because those barriers were removed through Great Expectations. I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. So Rachel, we always ask our guests to share a bit more about their vision for youth. And so ours at CASA is for every child to have a safe home. And we want them to be, you know, seen and loved and valued. What about you? Like, what is your vision for youth? And you can talk about it from the Great Expectations program or just higher level, what you would love to see.
Absolutely. So, of course, we want every young person that experienced foster care to have the opportunity to pursue higher education in whatever way they want to, so that they can get to a self-sustaining wage.
Yeah.
Now, beyond that, what I was talking about with those student successes, I want to see the cycle stopped, because if you've been around long enough, you've seen that a parent can be in foster care, then their child can be in foster care. And I see with these students, I think it's stopping. And that ultimately is what I would love to see, is that, you know, the cycle is stopped.
Yes, and those stories that you shared, the cycle appears to be stopped.
And education can also oftentimes be that freedom a little bit, you know. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, we so appreciate you being here. I feel like we learned a lot about the program, and I feel encouraged that this is an option out there. But we end our episodes with just a simple call to action for listeners, just something that anyone can do who's interested in Great Expectations, foster youth, just, you know, the well-being of children in general. So tell us, maybe the call to action today could be how to find out more about the program.
Absolutely. Well, we do have a website. You can go to that. It's pretty easy if you Google
I'll link
Great
to
Expectations.
it. Yeah, I'll link to it.
And also in your own communities, every community has a community college, and every community has a Great Expectations program. So feel free to reach out to that coach. There are opportunities for mentoring. A lot of our students need that.
I'm glad you said
the coach is just one person mentoring, and then all the other obviously area agencies and partners like CASA are great ways to reach out and get involved. And I can't help but say we are still partially philanthropically funded, so feel free to donate to your college's foundation or the Virginia Foundation for Community College Education, because those dollars really do help support these students.
Yeah, they clearly make a difference.
Right.
So I'm glad you added that. So thank you so much. We will, without a doubt, listener, link to the website, so be sure to check it out. And thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Vigilant Voices, Henrico Casa's new podcast. We have a vision for all children to live in safe, healthy homes. You can help us make that happen. Tell a friend about our podcast and find us on social media.
I believe in the better days.